Yes.
Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi ake ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei mauriora.
Kia ora.
So, apologies. Any apologies apart from Samir? Any declarations of interest? Confirmation of previous minutes from the 11th of March. So, Tim, Councillor Templeton, second it. All those in favour?
Aye.
There's no public forums or deputations of appointments or petitions. Item 7, proposed bus passenger shelter installation opposite 290 Durham Street. Thank you. Jake, Tim, any questions? All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 8, district plan work programme. Right, we have Mark and David. I'll just check, will there be any questions on this item? Okay,
yeah, I had one. Sorry, it's Yanni.
Thank you. We'll take the report then as read, Yanni, and we'll just see what your question is. Thank you.
Yeah, cool, thank you. Do you want me to ask the question now? Or?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so just 2 questions. One is, I just don't know where we got to with doing the urban design in the residential suburban medium density zone. So I was just trying to get an update of when we'd actually get work done on that. And then the second question, and I'll just turn off my mic, was the issue around, you've got immediate priorities Omnibus 1, 5.5, and you talk about the industrial chapter and also noise sensitive activities near roads and rail corridors. I was just wondering if that's got enough scope to cover the issue like in Woolston that's been raised, which is things like metal scrapping yards. There's a huge, basically, industrial activity that doesn't seem to have any controls over things like noise. So just wondering if there's wide enough scope to deal with that issue, and just wondering about the medium density.
So I'll answer the second one, and I'll hand to David to answer the first one. On the second one, our team undertook a review of all the issues arising through complaints to council at the interface between industrial and residential zones. The issues arising were varied in terms of cause. So there were noise complaints, there were odour complaints, there were other concerns about outdoor storage, and in the context of rules in the district plan, the issues that have arisen the issues arising are there was non-compliances with the district plan, and it comes down to enforcement of the provisions of the plan rather than there being a need to review or change the rules in the district plan.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many people have seen what's happening on Garlands Road, but there's basically a massive rubbish dump that's just appeared in the middle of an area adjacent to a residential neighbourhood.
And so there's rules there's setback rules and other rules at that interface, but ultimately that activity has to comply with noise standards and other rules controlling the activity, and if it required resource consent, there'll be conditions on that consent. So it's not without controls, and ultimately it comes down to enforcement of those restrictions on the activity.
Well, yeah, okay. I just don't think those controls are adequate, which is why I was hoping that we were going to have a plan change, looking at what we did to kind of create a better buffer between the residential and that sort of heavy industrial type activity.
We'll consider it further, and perhaps in light of the memo that was previously circulated, on the issues at the interface between those zones, we can have a conversation offline on that,
Right.
perhaps.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Thanks, Chair. And then the only other one was around the urban design, mainly for the suburban residential density zones.
Sure. So yeah, we've got a briefing for you on that coming up shortly, so we can talk about it further, but it is one of the immediate priorities. So we've listed it under implementation of the National Policy Statement for Urban Development and the design of multi-unit developments. So we'll be incorporating those together, and that's one of our immediate priorities that we're working on right now, and we'll brief you shortly.
Sorry, isn't the implementation of the National Policy Statement, that's basically going to loosen the restrictions and the urban design on those, rather than address the fact that we're worried that the designs are not satisfactory?
So the National Policy Statement will requires us to relax some of the building heights, and we're still working through exactly what that will mean. And at the same time, because we are obviously playing around with the rules, we're suggesting that we also ensure that the design is adequate. So we'll brief you more on that
Okay. Cheers.
later and talk in more detail.
All right, thank you. That's all from me. Thank you.
Tim.
Thank you. Just on that Woolston area, that's designated heavy industrial, isn't it? Because, I mean, Marshall Street, which is on the back of that, has always been there. Those houses have always been there. I mean, I went to school there, and it's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. So, but I'm just wondering, is there a protection for those industries that kind of start work? I know that we've got the tannery, etc., but it has been designated heavy industrial. So should be a protection somewhere in there for those businesses, shouldn't there?
Yeah, so the architecture of the district plan is such that between heavy industrial areas and residential areas, we have a lighter industrial zone. And so you're right, there's the zoning provides a buffer by way of that lighter industrial zoning. Historically, Woolston's had an industrial character and been used for a range of activities. At a future point in time, there'll be a need for a discussion on the future of areas like Woolston, but at the present time we've got a policy which enables where industrial land is no longer required, and we enable residential development of industrial land, but that can't give rise to reverse sensitivity issues, which and as you point out, residential has historically been there alongside industrial. So.
Thank you. The sites of ecological significance work is under timing to be confirmed. Now, this is originally work that was well underway before the earthquakes, was interrupted by the earthquakes. Then there was a hope that it would be completed in time for the conclusion of the district plan review, and that wasn't achieved. We're now seeing this as timing to be confirmed, dependent on technical assessments being completed. There is a danger that damage may be occurring to sites of ecological significance that deserve protection, and because this has been significantly delayed, we're not protecting these sites in the way that we should be. What is the limiting factor here? Is it resource, or is it some other matter? And is there a way that this could be given a higher priority given the number of interruptions that have occurred to this important work already?
So there's two parts to the answer. The first is that in the interim, we're proposing a plan change to manage Indigenous vegetation clearance in the context of sites that are identified. Related to that, the district plan, whilst it doesn't identify all the sites that are potentially of significance that plan change would seek to add to, there is a schedule in the district plan that identifies vegetation types that are deemed to be significant. And so, for instance, if a farmer or other property owner has Indigenous vegetation on their property, it might not be identified as a site of ecological significance, but the vegetation that is on that property is identified in the district plan, and there's rules controlling clearance in any case. So there's at least that degree of protection. In terms of answering your question about that later plan change on sites of ecological significance, it boils down to funding for the work.
And when timing to be confirmed. Is there any sense of what sort of target time frame we're working to with these?
So there was a policy inserted by the Independent Hearings Panel that the work was to be completed within 5 years of the district plan being made operative, which was would take us through to 2022. We're not going to meet that. The time frame will be dictated by the resources that we can put to it, and so we'd like to at least do it in a rolling. One of the issues we raised on Council's submission on the NPS on Indigenous biodiversity was the scale of the task of reviewing all the sites, and ultimately if it's a time-consuming and expensive exercise. So our proposal is that we do it in a rolling manner over the course of a number of years, and a rolling review of so as we complete assessments, we add sites, which might be less efficient than one plan change, but it potentially is a means of minimising the cost over a longer period of time.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Chen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. One question regarding to paragraph 5.5, the priority plan change under category of timing to be conformed. The item in relation to the heritage one. I remember last year, during this topic, I asked you, how about the update status, Yohurst Memorial Hall. I remember you told me that probably this year will be, presented to the council to approve those one. So I just don't know. So what is update status?
Yeah. So. That is on the web program. The heritage team are looking at a number of buildings, and the Yohurst Memorial Hall is one of them.
Yes.
That can be included in the plan. There's about 40 odd buildings that they're looking at,
Yes.
and that work is progressing quite quickly, and we're hoping to be able to bring that plan change as soon as we can. That the reason why we've said it's dependent on technical assessments is it would be more efficient if we bring all 40 buildings together, yeah, rather than just do one at a time. So we're just waiting for the other ones to catch up. So it may end up being next year by the time that the other ones are completed. But
so following year, next year.
Yes.
But last year told me that this year.
Yeah, well, it's there has been some delays with some of the other buildings and getting all those assessments done.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Does someone want to move this? Councillor Chen, and seconded by Councillor Keon. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Item 9, West Arc MCR Sections 1A, 1B, 1C and 2 detailed transport resolutions. This is obviously a technical report, so I'm not sure if there'd be any need for questions. Someone like to move it? Councillor Coker, Councillor Cotter. Are there any questions? All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 10, South Express MCR Sections 2B and 3 detailed traffic resolutions. Any questions on this one too? Councillor Chen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Two questions. The first one are I'm not sure in here you particular regarding office recommendation 2.2 B. In here you separate note 1 applies and the note 2 applies. When I read this one, I'm a little bit confused. You all mention those kind of the distance specified in the resolution related to curb line location on today's the committee meeting. What's the difference between these two notes?
The note 1 and note 2,
yes.
I have to be absolutely honest, is something to do with the bylaw that I don't know the absolute detail on today. This is all keeping it in line with the traffic and parking resolutions and the traffic and parking bylaw. This has been written by technical staff to ensure that we can legally enforce any of the road marking, signage and road marking that's out there. So that is the same as the previous report that you've just signed off.
So whether note one particular you
In
mentioned is
relation to the,
is a design and layout approved by the last year, the committee meeting or not? When I more read, I'm more confused. And the note two is just today. If we approve by the committee, then it's a new one, new design, and the kind of layout. Am I right? One is original one last year. One is this year, approved today.
I'm sorry, we'll have to come back to this.
Yeah.
I can't answer this here on the floor
Okay.
like this. I believe they are all technically correct in relation to the traffic and parking bylaw, and they are consistent with what you've just signed off.
I personally actually don't have an issue with these resolutions, and I don't want to hold it up for one councillor. I think we can have a conversation with.
Explain it.
Well, I think we can have a conversation with Councillor Chen offline afterwards.
Yeah, offline, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to actually. Is there any other questions?
We have one more question.
yes, sure.
Thank you, Chair. Because today you present to the committee is a focus on the south the express, the major cycle route, 3 and the 2B. But we are aware whole major cycle route they cover 3, 2B, 2A, 1B, and 1A. Particular 2B, 2A, and 1B. Actually, their completion date is exactly the same. Will be in June 2021. So I just want to know when the staff will present to us regarding 2A and 2B. Those the layout and the design. When will it be?
So the design has been completed on these sections, and the design is underway on the other sections and due to be completed.
It's between 50 and 85% complete on the other sections. So as they are completed and the traffic resolutions are completed, they'll be brought back.
Okay, but at the moment the schedule no delay. Am I right? No delay.
No,
okay, thank you. I just want to know.
Thank you.
Lynette, is this the most recommendations ever in the history of the council?
I don't think so. I think I can probably find a longer one.
There's
It's pretty
176 in there, and some of them have, I've counted up to 31 sub-parts to that one resolution at about number 172 or something.
The very reason we bring them back like this rather than trying to do them before we finalise the detailed design.
And you think Lynette's seat jobs is...
So you're happy to second that, when you, Aaron?
Yeah, I am, only because of the sheer volume that is there, and now I finally understand why they take so long to design.
Great. Any debate? Excellent. Did you have a question?
So these aren't built yet? No. So, and the money that we've just been given a bit of will go to these ones, or some of it will go to them.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're almost, once this is done and you nearly got the plans drawn, bang, it's...
I think once you've signed this off, we're actually due to put a tender out to the market to get the contractors on board.
In the next week.
In the next week. So yes, it's hit the ground running.
Woohoo!
Great. Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11, the plan change 2 to the Christchurch District Plan final approval. Oh, Mark. I'll get you to give a brief overview for this, thanks.
Plan change 2, which relates to the slope instability areas. Oh, thank you, Megan. Slope instability areas on the Port Hills. The plan change is to be more enabling of development on sites where the risk is now lower of rockfall, cliff collapse and mass movement. We're at the end of the process. Council's previously decided to approve the plan change based on the recommendation from a commissioner, and this is to ratify the plan change is now operative based on there being no appeals.
It's very straightforward. Someone want to? Councillor Templeton and Councillor Scantrit seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Excellent. We'll close the meeting with the karakia from Councillor Galloway.
Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pau nāmu. He warahi mā te moana, sorry, tātou I te rangi nei, araha atu, araha mai, tātou ia, tātou katoa. Hui e, tā.
Kia ora.